Alright guys, last of the three movies that Kat and I saw over the Christmas break. And I talked about why Kat isn't here, so if you want to know, go check those other two out. But yes, as the title ensues, we are going to be talking about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like the other two movies, big old spoiler warning right here. Just in case you don't want to be spoiled if you haven't seen it. If you have, or if you don't care about spoilers, stay here and we'll talk about it. So yes, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Holy crap, this movie was really good. Like you saw from the trailers and everything, this movie looks so much like a comic book, and that's what they were going for, so good on them. It looks like a comic book just started moving. I was more excited for this because I had known a little bit more about Miles Morales than Kat did, but she thought it looked interesting, so she went and saw it with me. We both loved this movie a lot. I don't even know what to say. For Miles Morales, like, pretty much solo movie, like an origin movie for him, this was the best way that they could have done this. So let's start from the beginning, guys. Miles Morales is going to a new school. He's not really a big fan of it. He isn't doing too well, even though he is doing really well. Like, they went out of their way to show this, how smart this kid is. Like, he got a 0 on a test, but it's only questions that are true or false. And if you get an absolute 0 on this, the teacher knew that he was intentionally trying to get a 0. Which means he knew the answers. So the teacher changed that 0 and wrote a 0 and a 1 in front of it. So I thought that was really cool. Like, he's so intelligent, but he just doesn't like it at the school. And he's just having a rough time of it. So one night he goes and sneaks out of his room, and he goes to see his uncle Aaron, who we find out later in the movie, if you didn't already know, is the villain, the Prowler. So, yeah. But they talk for a little while. His uncle leads him down into the subway to this area where he found out about because of a construction job or something. He's like, Miles, go crazy, because Miles likes to like spray paint and make like really cool artwork with like graffiti, and I think that's really cool. So he's like spray painting all over this wall, and right as he takes a picture of it, once he's all done, a spider comes up right on his hand and bites him right on the hand. But the way that he deals with it, it wasn't like any other Spider-Man before. It's not like he like gets hurt and like reels his hand down out of pain, and like the spider shoots off and like goes off somewhere to die. Miles is just like sitting there looking at it after it bites him. He's like, and I thought that was the funniest thing. That was the best way that he could have handled it. Wakes up the next day, he's already, like, outgrowing his school uniform pants. He meets up with this girl in the hallway, and he's trying to, like, flirt with her, but actually, like, gets his hand stuck to her hair due to his spider powers. And they have to go and shave part of her head to get his hand off. Which, you know, it's not a bad look for her. I think it still looks pretty good. But we'll talk about her later. You already know who I'm talking about. Anyway, Miles is having a rough go, and he goes back down to the area where he spray painted to find the spider, but he runs into that universe's Spider-Man, who is actually voiced by Chris Pine, which I thought was amazing. I didn't realize until the credits started rolling, but it was really cool. It was a really good choice choosing Chris Pine for an alternate universe Spider-Man voice. But Peter's fighting the Green Goblin, and then Peter has to start fighting with Kingpin, but not before. He has to like save Miles once, and then they talk for a minute. He's like, "Oh, you're just like me. You're a spider person. Once I get through with dealing with this, I'll teach you everything that you need to know about being a Spider-Man." Kingpin turns on this big machine that causes like other universes to like start connecting. And Green Goblin like puts that Peter Parker in it, and like it hurts him a lot, but it also brings the roof down. So Kingpin and his other associate, they go down and talk with the injured Peter Parker. Miles is watching from a distance. Peter's talking with Kingpin, and then Kingpin fucking kills him. Which, another great voice choice. Liev Schreiber as Kingpin, like, one of these. Just all the voices in this movie are like really well made. So yeah, Peter Parker dies. Miles tries to do his own thing and try to be Spider-Man, but it doesn't really work out. We get a really sweet Stan Lee cameo. It really made me sad because he's like selling Miles a Spider-Man costume, and he like looks on the TV to the news about Spider-Man's death. He's like, "I'm really gonna miss him." Him! I'm gonna miss you, old man! Like, damn, now I'm sad. Stan Lee, may you rest in peace. You did such amazing work. But yeah, Miles tries to do his own thing as Spider-Man, but he has a really hard time. Visits that universe's Peter Parker's grave, and it's like, I can't do it. And then a hand comes up behind him. He's like, hey, kid. He gets Venom Strike with his electricity because Miles has electric powers. That's something I really like about Miles Morales. He has more powers than Peter Parker. Not only can he climb up walls and do like everything that Peter Parker can, but he can also turn himself invisible, and he can do electric strikes, which is really cool. But yeah, anyway, he accidentally knocks out an alternate universe Peter Parker, and they have to go somewhere and talk. And he introduces himself as a different Peter Parker. He's had a really hard time. He's been Spider-Man for a long time. He and Mary Jane got a divorce, and he's like become a little fat. He's kind of down his luck, but he's like, okay, well, I gotta get back to my universe. And Miles is like, hey, I'm gonna come with you, and I want you to teach me how to be Spider-Man. So they go to Kingpin's office out in like the middle of nowhere. They get information, and they meet a different villain who's also in this movie, Olivia Octavius. This universe is Doc Ock, which I don't know if this was a thing before, but I really like Dr. Octavius being a woman. I don't know why, I just really thought it was cool. But anyway, they fight through to get out of the office. Peter teaches Miles how to web swing away with the information that they got, but they also get pursued by Doc Ock and the other members of this office who are trying to chase them, but they get saved by Spider-Gwen. Gwen Stacy, the blonde girl who had to get her head shaved. She got brought in from the same calamity that Kingpin was doing, which brought the alternate universe Peter Parker here that Miles is with, which that singularity also brings forth, later on we'll see, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, and Penny Parker. So they talk for a bit in the woods, they fly away, and Gwen says, oh yeah, I got brought here from the same singularity, but I got shot back into last week. So they go to this universe's Aunt May's house, and they talk with her. Apparently this Peter Parker had already told her about his powers and all that, and he had a big secret underground base of different suits, vehicles, other things to do. It's basically like a Spider-Man version of the Batcave. And so that's where they meet the other Spider-Men, and they make up a plan to okay, we gotta get back to our own universes, but we're also gonna try to train Miles as best as we can. But yeah, they have a fight in Aunt May's house. Miles can't really do much because he's still really scared and trying to get used to his powers, and he has to fight the Prowler, and that's where he finds out that the Prowler is his uncle, Aaron Davis. But his uncle really doesn't want to kill him. So they're up on the roof. They find out who each other are. They're standing there just basically in shock and really sad. And then Kingpin's down the ground and he aims a gun and fires right at fucking Prowler's back and kills him. Not instantly. Miles is able to get him out of there. They go to an alley to talk right before he dies. And then his dad, who's a cop, comes up right behind him hey, freeze, stop right there. Miles goes invisible, and his dad sees that his brother, Miles' Uncle Aaron, is now dead. And so he's kind of pissed. And Miles goes back to his dorm room to be upset about that. And then the other Spider people are hey, we just want to come say goodbye. And Peter's I'm going to be the one who stays behind while the others go back to their own universe. They have a talk because, Peter will die if he stays in this universe for too long. But it gives Miles a good talking to. And Miles when will I know I'll be Spider-Man? He's you won't. It's just a leap of faith. You need to trust that you can do this. So Miles, he's getting tied. He got tied to a chair, and he's really sad. And his dad comes by and starts talking to him on the other side of the door. It's a really heartfelt moment. It really makes you feel for not only Miles but also for his dad. And so Miles finally gets a hold of his powers and breaks free from being tied down on his own. He goes and goes back to the Spider Bat cave. He looks at the suit, and another great callback to earlier in the movie, how Miles is good with graffiti. He just spray paints one of the old Spider-Man suits, and spray paints a spider logo on it. Which I'm really glad that they didn't just go with hey, just wear this suit, and just wear this. It looks just like how your suit does in the Ultimate Comics. No, they had him spray paint a Spider-Man suit, and in all honesty, it looks fantastic. I really dig how he spray painted on the spider logo, and it's awesome. You get a really sick moment of Miles getting a hold of his powers, web swinging on his own for the first time, and it's really nice. So he goes and meets up at the big bad hideout with the whatever machine that bridges alternate realities. I should mention, I didn't mention this before, the reason Kingpin is like doing this with like the alternate reality stuff is because his wife and son got killed a long time ago, and he wants to bring them back. But in doing so, he brought into this universe some other Spider-Man, and so the other Spider people, they gotta go and like get back to their own universes. They kind of have a rough time with it at first, but then Miles shows up and like helps them, and it all works out. They all start going home to their own universes. Peter like almost doesn't go because he's like, I gotta stop Kingpin, but Miles like, nah, I'm gonna do this. And with a good callback to an earlier scene, Peter goes back to his own universe. And so Miles and Kingpin have a big fight, and it was really nice. He gets the portal closed so that way Miles' reality doesn't get too fucked up. Kingpin's defeated, everything's good, the day is saved, and Miles Morales is now this universe's Spider-Man. Now, I'm not done quite yet because there's still an after-credit scene. We get an after-credit scene of this person walking through a dark room, and this hologram lady keeps like popping up from one side or the other talking to him. And we find out that it's Miguel O'Hara talking to this person, and he's like, let's go back, let's figure out where all this started. And he goes back to like, I think the 60s cartoon of Spider-Man, and he like does the whole like pointing meme thing with like the actual Spider-Man from that cartoon, and it was just really funny. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. This movie was phenomenal. The voice acting is great. All the music is great. Like, I'm not really too big on like modern rap music, but all the music choices in here really, really were great. And like, I actually have some in my YouTube watch later that I might put on my phone one day. But the music in here was really good. Like I said, the voice acting was great. All the set pieces are great. The different designs for the different Spider people, like Penny Parker being like an anime girl, and Spider-Ham being a cartoon character like the Looney Tunes. I thought that was really funny. And just overall, this movie was really, 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 really great. That was a lot of reallys. I know that like Bumblebee is gonna be like higher on my top 10 movies of the year list, but in all honesty, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. It was really that good, guys. If you're able to go see it, definitely go see it. And that's pretty much all I really have to say about it. Hopefully you guys like these movie reviews. I do want to try and do some more of these in the future, and definitely some more with Kat. So just stay tuned for more stuff about movies, as well as my other content on this channel. But yeah, that's been another video from me, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been 01 Trans Fan, the #1, and I'll talk to you all next time. Take it easy.